welcome you all to this August meeting that is long overdue because I've always wanted to run several events on politics and the right process to achieve success. Do not get me wrong, because my definition of success is not attaining your desired goals, but that you believed in yourself enough to attempt to vie for an elective post. To shed light on this, I will highlight strategies that can help you achieve success through my own perspective on politics. First, that's the desire, your ambition, and that is you. Your mission or purpose for the desire, that is still you. The process, that now is you and those around you and the community you wish to serve. You do not get what you want until you prepare yourself. The will to win means nothing without the will to prepare. Do not join the league of we want to win but fail to prepare. Let the community you want to serve know you. Let them know what you stand for. Your principles that are non-negotiables. So when I say your principles that are non-negotiables, I'm talking about your values. Who are you? What character do you have? Your attitude and all. That should speak for you. And I thank all our sponsors and supporters for what they have done for us to make this day happen for us. Caverton Helicopters, Mr. Emmanuella, Mr. Akim Bello, Mr. Jide Adedino Core Media, of Your Niger, Mr. Tunde Ajijejidun of Digitrack, L.E.A.R.N Working Committee members, my team members too, both in the office and at home, who have all contributed to the success of this program. I pray that you'll achieve your desired goals, that this session and others going forward are instructive and instrumental in moving you closer to serving our dear country, Nigeria, in truth and justice. Thank you, and God bless you all.
The Not Too Young to Wrong Bill seeks to alter the Section 65, 106, 131, 177 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, to reduce the age qualification for the office of the President from 40 years to 30 years, Governor from 35 to 30, House of Rep from 30 to 25, and State House of Assembly from 30 to 25. The bill also seeks to mainstream independent candidacy into Nigeria's electoral process. What we're going to be talking about here today is what hope do we have as a youth to say we want to run for these amazing positions in this country. So the bill has been amended to suit us. But are we ready for it? Is the government ready for us? Is Nigeria ready for us? We're going to be listening to seasoned speakers who are going to help break this down to our understanding. There will be time for us to ask questions. In case you are shy, you can write your questions down, but I want to believe that there's no shy person here. Okay? So, and they'll be speaking to us each for 20 minutes. The first speaker is Mr. Tokunbo Odutola. He's a legal practitioner and a former House of Assembly aspirant in Surulere constituency. Please put your hands together for him as he speaks to us in 20 minutes.
There's a difference between politics, activism, and radicalism. Total difference. And when I went into the thing, all my little savings, whether you like it or not, if you are not boxed up, that your dream is still a dream. You need money to run. And I keep on saying there are two separate kinds of youth too. The struggling youths, the focused youths. But unfortunately, those who are chasing touts on the road, who are also youths, they are the ones dictating the pace. They are the ones dictating the pace. They tell you who they want to vote for. By the time they come with their weapon, or shakara, there was a recent World Congress held somewhere in Surulere. It was a youth who came, everybody scattered. one word in Surulere. So, what are we talking about? How would a serious, dedicated, Harvard-trained youth want to compete with a youth who his own daily income is from Ojo Elegba bus stop? And he has the shaka in his own hand. You want to hide your head. But whether thick or thin, we must not allow our voice to be silenced.
My general feeling about not too young to run is that it is not age that keeps people away from success in politics and elections. It's not age. So what, for me, the key thing I've learned about the campaign is that Nigerians can run a long, sustained, organized campaign. We can advocate for something if we want to. We can organize. So the key things I've taken from the campaign is just the beauty of being able to advocate to bring stakeholders. But the truth is, I doubt if, in reality, the lowering of the age is actually going to change anything. And that's because of what our politics is like. The bottom line is that on the day of elections, everybody's shouting PVC. I'm shouting PVC too, but I'm shouting it with with one eye open, or is it two eyes open, and even a third eye. Because the truth is, on the day of election, by the time we're waving our PVCs around thinking, we're going to vote this, vote out, the decision has already been made. Because what we have to choose from is so limited, and we're not part of that process because we're not in the parties. So party A brings X, party B brings Y. We are not party members. We are not party to bringing out these 2-3 candidates. So we have no hand in what we're ultimately voting for. 80% of that battle for actually picking the decent leadership has already gone by the time we're voting. So it's really serious. We need to be in the parties. And then I think for me, those are the key lessons that I learned. One political one I want to add, or impolitical one, considering who is my host, is the role of first ladies. And this is typically only for women. I kept hearing over and over again, go and meet the first lady, go and meet the first lady, go and meet. And I kept wondering, why should the first lady have power? Is she a party leader? Is she a delegate? Does she have more votes than the normal delegates? So why are first ladies important? Well, the truth is, again, it comes back to my second lesson about information being key. You must know your terrain. In some terrains, first ladies are powerful, on the national level, on the state level, and they can help if they want to. On some other places, they're not powerful and they're not necessary. So I'm saying to the women specifically here, watch out for that. When people say, oh, you go and meet the first lady, do your own search first. If your first lady is somebody who is not known to be helpful to women or female politicians, don't waste your time, just move on. Same thing with the woman leader. I have not met a single woman leader of any party that is useful to any woman. Or maybe even to any man. I'm not sure who they are useful for. They're just there to ghettoize the women so that they can say, the women have somebody. But the truth is that role is almost pretty much redundant. The person is typically a gatekeeper to keep the women away from the men. And that person typically knows their role. Because it's true. Because when you're picking officials of a party, it's not even democratic. So the woman who has been put there knows that she doesn't owe her position to any of you, which is the same thing with our elections. Because they know how they win elections, they don't owe us anything. So the truth is you have to think deeply. And this is where I'm sort of ending my conversation. You have to think deeply about the kind of country you want. But I honestly don't think that a flawed process, deeply undemocratic, flawed process, can give us the type of leadership we need in Nigeria. So we need to be looking, in addition to not too young to run, to restructuring, to constitutional change, to give us the structures that will even the playing field more for decent people, both men and women, to come in and run. Thank you.
We created all this problem by ourselves. Not too young to run. There was nothing like that. Everybody is ready to run before. Until 2000, when the 1999, when the 1999 Constitution came, I started putting age barriers. Before then, I started politics at the age of 24. Is it like the program, what next? What next for you when you said the thing has been put in Constitution is to start looking for a way to be able to run. you will run, or you have to crawl before you walk, before you run. I have gone through this. I have told you, I became a member of the House in 1983. That year, I was exactly 30 years old. I started getting interested in 1976, during the Constitutional Assembly. I was supporting somebody. So we have been coming all the way. I was a member of the House. I'm a lawyer. I have been in government. So I am qualified to talk to you. I've been a member of the Lagos State Executive 3 times, 12 years. I have been a legislator twice. So if you see from 1983 till now, I'm still very politically strong. I am very, very relevant. Nobody does anything without thinking about, even nationally, statewide, they will say, show him on by. They about the being because the party is LGBT. We're going to fight. I hope we all understand where I'm coming from. Let us be part of it. Let us start with it. Let us know the rudiment, learn the ropes. Then, with your level of education, the sky is the limit. Thank you very much.
The not too young to run issue is not a new thing. It's something that predates our independence. If you look at our independence, you find that people like Zeke were already premiers when they were 45. You had, Obafemi Awolowo was premier of Western Region when he was 45. You had Alhaji Amadu Bello. He was premier of the Northern Region when he was 44. The man who was our prime minister was Minister for Works. Not Trinity Minister, Minister for Works, when he was less than 40. I recognize and accept that labor today is not defending the right of the worker to employment, to receiving salary at the end of the month, or the basic interest of the Nigerian people. I think that it has some blood vision now, and that, part of his problem is the tendency of some of the labor leaders to be suicidal, in the sense that they just want to join the system and just let it run. Those are some of the things that we need to do. And my own suggestion is that instead of singing this rhyme, not too young to run, we should not waste our time over that. Nature abhors a vacuum. If there's a vacuum created by the absence of labor, there's no reason why the youths cannot fill it. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for him. Thank you so much, sir.
Politics is a game of narratives. It really is as simple as that. I'll give you a very, very recent example. It's as recent as yesterday. The president of Nigeria, President Buhari, visited Jos because people were killed. There was a crisis between Cross River State and Ebonyi. A number of people were killed, some 7,000 people were displaced, some 1,500 houses were burnt. From the look I get, it looks like a lot of people haven't heard about that. And the president is not likely to visit that end. Who decided who the president was to visit? Was it that people died and they were displaced, or that the media focused on a certain kind of death? There'll be points where you start to see something on the horizon and it looks like, wow, I'm getting close to the end. There'll be points where you look behind you, those that you were running with are no longer there. And that even weakens you further. There will be points where you now start to ask yourself, why did I start this race? Did I start this race to prove a point to myself and my family? Did I start this race to be able to say I better pass my neighbor? Did I start this race to make change happen? Did I start this race because I love my country? Did I start this race because of what I will get or what I will be, like he said? Because the answer you get is what will make you decide to keep running that race towards finishing it, or to say, I'm done, I'm not interested anymore. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for him, please. That was very deep and incisive.
Quick question is, not too young to run. At the end goal is to run for office and make change. But I'm of the opinion that the government system that we have does not work for us. The reason why I say that is that Nigeria is a developing country. And if you look around the world, all the countries that have seen development, that have come and developed in the last 20 to 30 years, they haven't had the kind of political system that we have here. It just doesn't work for a developing country. Look at Rwanda, you look at the UAE, you look at Singapore, you look at South Korea. So the question is, should we be focusing more on how to change the system as a country to a system that works to develop the country, not about individual selfish interests that I want to be the president, I want to be whoever.
It's not about I want to be president or I want to be this. It's about how can I make a change? How can I make an impact? How can I, in my own little way, make something that they will know in my own little way I have done something, can be said to be part of the change that we're looking for. And once you have to do that, but in Nigeria, you cannot make a change or do a change unless you are part of the system in the political circle.
My first question is actually first, Mommy, from the introduction. You know, when you talk about starting from your word and talking about chairmanship, but from experience, how can we handle, because what I've discovered is that governors make the work of the chairman and local government or whatever difficult, cutting their money, controlling, they only pay them salary. That's the truth. The money that has to go to the grassroots local government, and how do we handle that?
Your question is simple. It is because all of us here, we are docile. We don't know our rights from our left. And those chairmen are at the mercy of the governor, because those of us who elected them will not support them if they want to ask for money. This money doesn't belong to the chairman. It belongs to us. And we know about this. A lot of those chairmen may not say it out there. They have been telling us. They have been telling their people. Anytime they go to you, this JAC, they call it JAC, Joint Account Committee or something. And when the money comes in, it goes there. In Lagos, it's a little bit different. Because in Lagos, they get their money. But you see, I don't know what happens now. During Ashwaju, during Fashola, the chairman gets their money. But you see, that time, those who got their money were not doing the right thing with the money. So people started, fighting them and talking about they are not doing their job. That the state have to come into some of their streets to do the streets for them. So, you see, it depends on who the chairman is. If the chairman is somebody who's doing well with the little money he gets, it is difficult for the governor to go into it. But you see, the present administration, the way it's getting away with it is that it chooses projects in the local government for that chairman. You pick 2 roads at least, because it's a way of doing something so that people can see that the local government is well being spent. So whether it remains there or not, every time there will be 2 roads in your local government done with the local government money, which the people will see. So last year or 2 years ago, 118 roads were done by the state, which I believe was not done by the state, because it was done by the local government, but was bidded for at the state level. Though it is wrong, but they have done something well with that money. But we don't know how much is it. We don't know what it is, because I don't know why you spend my money and tell me to come and bid in your place. But you see, the money was spent for something in that local government. So the people will see that it's spent, so they cannot fight for you, because if they give you, they know those who were given before did not do well. So it is those of us here, those of us at the world level, those of us who are educated, like I said, go there and be part of the thing. When some of you talk at meetings, people will listen. And that is how you become the veteran in your area. They miss you at meetings because they see you. You know much more. You are in the social media. You know everything. When people know that you have information that they don't have, and you stand by it, they will always want you to be at the meeting. So let all of us go back home. The only way to fight it is the chairman cannot fight home because they will lose the next election. No, because they will not be a candidate at the next election.
When I look at the Not to Run bill, there is a space there for independent candidates. But why do you have to drop the one of the independent candidate and pick the Not to Run? To you, sir, that is one. And secondly, sir, you know why I'm so much passionate about Not to Run? I'm the convener of Not to Run in the Old Korodu division. And my challenge is this: I'm not interested in politics, I have my career. But I have some of my young guys in politics that you are not giving space. And that's my agitation. Give these young guys, they have been there with you. You always make them your PA, supervising counselor, unnecessary error. You use them as a willy-guns. You use them, you understand? Why can't you give them a space?
In the bill, in the initial bill, there was independent candidacy, and then there was a reduction for national legislators. So for independent candidacy, they yanked it off. For reduction for presidency, the National Assembly approved it. For reduction for state governorship, they approved it. For reduction from 35 to 30 for House of Reps and Senate, they refused it. Now, I said something about this whole thing being a marathon. One of the best things you can do when you are in the process of agitating for something like this or even running for office is to document your experience. Then another thing that is even better than that is to write it out for others to read from you. So we've gotten leverage on younger ages for the executive. We couldn't get for independent candidacy, which I think is a very important thing. The next thing is to look at how did we achieve this one? How were we able to get, because people seem to underrate what happened. This was a constitutional amendment. This was not just a law. This was something that involved making sure that you got at least 24 states of the country House of Assemblies to pass it before you even start talking about the House of Reps and the Senate. So we need to first of all ask ourselves, how were we able to get this done and then start all over again for the things that we need again? Independent candidacy, really and truly, we want to pursue 30 years for Senate, 30 years for House of Reps. We need to document this experience. As much as we celebrate this victory, part of this thing that is victorious, it is more important to document this experience. I almost had a fight with a governor recently when I was asking him about his book. I said, when is your book coming out after your tenure? He said he would try to write. I said, no, you don't try to write. You have a responsibility to write. Because people need to understand what being a governor meant, the challenges and all of those things is very, very important. As to the point about you finish from work at 5, then to attend a meeting, really and truly, for me, that's an unfortunate situation to be, because if you want it enough, you go for it. I don't have a reason to be here today. I'm here I didn't even know she was involved with, I didn't know Mrs. Fashola was involved with this program. It was when I got here that I saw her. A friend of mine invited me. He said a friend of his wanted me to be at their event. So because of him, because of Tefa was why I came, because I respect Tefa. But ordinarily, I haven't been flying all over the place for the past 48 hours. And they now beat Nigeria at the end of the day. I have a responsibility to say, I'm sorry. We cannot continue to excuse our lack of participation. Aisha has no business running for office. I know her very well. Forget her profile she read. She can work in any big office in any part of the world. When you read her book, you will see how she had to stoop. Like she went to a particular woman to do some registration. The woman said Harvard. You have to put yourself through it. So if it means going to attend meeting from work to meeting, If it means sometimes telling your office that you want them to have your leave around this period so that you can be part of a particular political thing that is happening, you have to do it. Otherwise, in life, when you choose something, you also choose the consequence. So when you decide not to choose, you have also chosen the consequence. So ultimately, you have to ask yourself, do you want it enough? If you want it enough, you go for it. If you're not ready to go for it, you step outside of it.
I don't believe you know the politics of Ikorodu. You don't. Who is the member of the House representing Ikorodu constituency 1 and who is representing 2 and who is in the federal house now? Do you know them? Who? Tell me one. You have who? House of Rep, yes. How old is Jimmy? Jimmy 43. And he was in politics at what age? He was a secretary to the LSDPC at about 30-something years old. So he's young to run. And he was part of it. We found out what he can do at the secretary as well. He was one of the PAs. He was not even the first PA or something to some of the people here. But when you find out what a young man can offer, you start giving him better responsibilities. Like he said, tested and trusted. SOB, how many years is he using now? Third term? No, I'm asking you. It's not a problem. It is not a problem. You see, in the legislative house, there is no limitation. There are people in the House of Assembly, Senate, and Rep in America that spent all their life. One man who is the head of the Senate before, no, not even McCain, the man died at the age of 98, spent 48 years. When, yes, you see, the area he comes from, they may not be politically inclined. The man does well, and they just put him out. But you see, what I'm saying is this. It depends on the type of people, the type of interest that do people put in there. See, because he spent 3 times, some of you have not been showing any sign of, I'm coming now. So you are talking about age then. You said you want young people. It is not greed. It came out. You see, you will contest with him in the primary. If you can win him. Yeah, it's the primary. So that's what we are saying. So you must be there to show that you don't want him again. Even if you don't win at that point in time, they will know that you don't want him again.
Thank you very much, sir.
In as much as I share your view, sometimes they want to lean on experience. Like somebody said, show you a delay. I'm also on that view. But here, it's not only about primaries. It's not about you coming up in politics. In this part of Lagos, number one, who do you know? Key problem, Lagos politics. If you don't have the access to Ikoyi residents, you have a problem. Number two, you want to contest with somebody who has spent 4 times or more for the same position in his vision and ambition to become a speaker. You don't have the money. Oh. If you don't have that money, you just sit there and look. But I think the solution to all this crisis lies in the financial inducement that is being paid for the political positions and offices in Nigeria. Even for not too young to run, most of us believe that if Taju, who was living at Modakeke Street, can become councillor, is given a car, is given a Prado, why can't I? Or if somebody by chance gets to National Assembly, he earns XYZ naira per month. None of us have been able to ask them, oh yeah, let's see what you have done with our money. The solution in Nigeria, let us make those positions less attractive. If possible, no salary. Then we will know those who really have a passion for this thing.
My name is Rotimi Oyeko. I've had the privilege of serving in government 6-7 years. We contributed what we could. But the reality of too young to run, it's the beginning of a process. We have to understand it. most of the contributions you've heard and the questions that have been raised shows the complexity of the problems. From the floor, you are asking questions. Why is somebody staying there for that long? Some people provided answers for you. It shows you the enormity of the problem. So, whatever it is that Too Young to Run has achieved, it's just that it's taking some of us out of our work to come here and try to share our experience and enlighten you on the size of the problem. And then perhaps to begin to dimension possible solutions. One thing that is clear, politics must become a mass movement in Nigeria for us to have the change that we need. Please, I will repeat, politics must become a mass movement in Nigeria for the change that we need. And that mass movement is not just by following the crowd, though. Because you will meet people who will use financial inducement and your requirements. Maybe you want to write JAM exam, all those things that you get politicians do is true. JAM forms. All those things. They will use it to blind your eyes from the reality of your problem. The fact that educational standard has fallen because there is no fact that there is no infrastructure, the fact that there is no healthcare, the fact that there is no power. You will lose sight of all those problems while the election for the councillor for Surulere is on, or the rep man representing House of Assembly is on. And by the time it gets to governorship or president, you're already in a cocoon. You're already following a path. So 4 years, after 4 years, you find yourself in similar activity. And people who are ground troops for political and economic interests, they become your interpreters of political values. That is what must change. Someone spoke about the media. I don't believe the media serves the interests of the people. They don't, as far as I'm concerned. Go and look at the people who own the media. The true owners, they are all political players. And I'm saying this without prejudice. If we want to know the truth, let us ask to be empowered. Not just to run, but to know how is our money being spent, who took specific decisions, and why were those decisions taken. What is, Lawyer Agba spoke about procurement. You are too old to run. My point here is this. He spoke about, well, I'm a boy to you, it's okay. Someone spoke about procurement, casually in referring to the governance award of contracts for roads in local governments. Procurement is where your money is being spent. I don't even know if we understand what it is to procure public goods. So what are we celebrating Too Young to Run when we don't even know how the chairman in our local government decides how to do the drain for a street, or how it works with neighborhood, how much does he spend on neighborhood association, all those things. We don't know who gets what. So for me, the amount of work that needs to be done is so massive. And this thing that we're talking about is minuscule. For me, it's a token gift to people who don't even understand the enormity of the problems. Thank you.
A round of applause for our panelists. An enlightening one it has been. We'd like for them to take pictures. I can assure you that the second panel is going to be hotter. And you don't want to miss that.
Looking at the topic assigned to me, the role of civil servants or the role of civil service in democratic dispensation for a good governance. I observed that they need to discuss 3 key words in order for me to do justice to the paper. 1, democracy, good governance, and of course my constituency, civil service. Democracy, we all know, is the government of the people by elected representatives. Governance is the exercise of political, economic, and administrative authority of the affairs of any nation. And for good governance, there are some tenets. A good governance or a good government must have wide participation of its citizens. The policies and programs for political dispensation should be a thing that they should do well. And civil servants, they should be able to serve under any dispensation, under any political dispensation. Yoruba people will say, kò sí ẹ̀yin lè mọ́mú tá ò ti lè kírun. Soldier come, soldier go. Another important role of civil servants in this political dispensation is to ensure that there is an establishment of quality relationship between the political appointees and the civil service, the head of bureaucratic leader, and that is the permanent secretary. That they are referred to as the accounting officer. They are the head of the workforce, while the honorable commissioner or the minister, as the case may be, will be the one that will be the administrative head. Though the commissioners are not elected, but they are representing the governor, who was at one time elected to that position, and they are to do his will. They are to be his ambassadors. So that is why in any ministry or any department, there have to be a cordial relationship between the political appointees and that of the civil service, and that of the civil servant, so that the electorate that appointed the governor into office will be able to enjoy the dividend of democracy. In actual fact, and I'm able to say it, that both for national and state governments, they cannot function, they cannot work effectively well without the professional civil servants, because they will be the one that will do the programs for them. They will be the one that will interpret the bureaucratic elements of the civil service. They will do the one that will do this, and they have to be the one that will initiate the civil servants in most cases, except in few of the commissioners that will want to, be the one that will write the memos for the commissioners to take to ESCO. And they will be the one for approval. And through the same route, the approval will come. The civil servant will be the one that would execute that program. If it is award of contracts, for example, and depending on the magnitude of the project, if it is the one that has to go through the STB, now that they call it procurement, it is this responsibility of the civil servants to ensure that he or she guides the honorable commissioner in the best way to go. And the civil servants, they are the one that will provide the soft landing for the honorable commissioners when they are newly appointed. You have to tell them the language, the civil service has its own language. You have to go through the way of minuting, how files are being minuted out, how memos are being written, and things like that. In the end, you discover that once there is cordial relationship between the political appointees, the honorable commissioners, and the head of the bureaucratic leader of that ministry, that is the permanent secretary, everything will go well, and there will be no rancor. There will be no rancor in that place. And the electorate that elected the governor, with the subsequent appointment of the honorable commissioner, will be the better for it. Thank you.
The topic is really the role of a special advisor role of a special advisor to a governor as relating to good governance. First of all, you need to understand the word special advisor. It has taken a different meaning or different application for now. Most people understand president, senator, House of Rep member, House of Assembly member, local government chairman, minister, and at a state level, commissioner. Usually, the terms, in the old days, the term special advisor are specific professionals in certain areas that advise the government outside the normal cabinet, whatever. Usually the cabinet, every governor or a president must have a cabinet. Usually the cabinet is filled with commissioners, federal with ministers. These days, governance has expanded. Government has really, really expanded. And sometimes some ministries get so big. So I hope this is the beginning. This will trigger more interest on youth all around the country to be able to come out and participate. Nobody is going to give you the power. You are going to come out and present and participate, in that system. Nobody elected. Barack Obama was my age when he became, he's just a year older than me, and he became president at the age of 44. Who voted for him? Both youth and people. So you must come out. Once people see that you are good, you are okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
My job is to share experiences with you, to enrich your understanding of the role of the political appointee. But I will crave your indulgence to take a cue from where my colleagues stopped, such that I will enrich your understanding of the challenges of your generation, beyond the understanding of what a public servant or a civil servant does. The reason is very simple. We have had the privilege of serving. You haven't. Apart from understanding what role you could play, you must be prepared for the challenges you are likely to face. Think of the demographics. What is the pass rate in GCE in your ward, in your local government? What is the employment rate? Is it going down? Too young to run here. That's what they are preparing you for, because they know that they can't solve all the problems. So they are preparing you to come and take over the work. So me, I'm to tell you, it's a lot of work. So, no, it's not going to work. One machine. So understand the problem. I don't want to get too personal, but I had some very profound experiences. But I will say to you clearly that is not an easy path. So if you are looking for quick money, don't go to government. Because the people of Nigeria are tired of people stealing money. If you want to leave a mark, if you want to be able to tell your children, this is what I achieved, then, and if you have the capacity, you must have value for effective public good. Those are the broad strokes that I will share with you. But in the finance function, your job is to prioritize the spend of government. There is a phrase that my governor then used to use, which I'll share with you. These days, he shies from talking. I don't know what happened to him. That's federal workers. I don't know. It's called the quality of spend. I repeat it. Quality. Quality. Okay. What does it mean? It's effectiveness of government. If government has a budget of 20 billion, and they choose, this is the 7 ways at which we're going to spend this government. I'm sure there are other ways of spending it. That's not the only way. And that's the prerogative of council to determine what is the criteria. But there is a most effective path of spending government. You will now have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of government? The first purpose is to secure the people. The second purpose is to make their quality of life better. So the finance function will negotiate with the council and with taxpayers and also people who are supporting government with loans and other things on the best terms of making this happen. So, I don't want to bore you, but I think I've given you an idea of what the finance function does and what some of us had to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let me first of all thank the organizers for the kind invitation. It is a pleasure to be here. I have listened to several soul-stirring and uplifting but realistic talk on leadership and service. I've learned a lot, as old as I am. I hope that each and every one present here will have done the same. I'm speaking on something that is a bit different from what the 3 other panelists have spoken about, but in many ways interrelated, very, very interrelated. I'm privileged to have spent most of my life in the private sector in practice, but the last 20 years or thereabouts has been spent in the service of the Independent National Electoral Commission and its service. There is work to be done. The first is equip yourselves. If you don't have your voters card, you have not equipped yourself. Equip yourself with knowledge. You must know the process. You must know your environment. If the youths of Surulere gather today, for example, and say, no, enough is enough, we're fed up with this or that, and start galvanizing, start organizing, using your tools of social media. Today, you won't have Nigerian Pilot, you won't have Nigerian Tribune, but you have social media. Everybody's a journalist, everybody's an influencer, everybody's a mass mover. You can galvanize people using that for positive good. And yes, you can use social media as a check on us. It is our duty, for example, we have imposed a duty on ourselves for sake of transparency to publish election results. Not just giving it, our duty by law is just to give copies of the results of every polling unit to political parties and their agents and the police. But now we said, look, how can we make this thing more transparent? We can't sit in Abuja and hope for transparency. We've got to make the election transparent, and they will do that. Sometimes they cheat. So look, publish this thing by pasting a special poster, ECATE. Paste the poster with all the results there. We're getting to the stage where we'll post them online. But you're encouraged to even paste those things and retweet those things and send those things out. So before INEC officially declares the result, you already have an idea who's going to win in your locality if you gather all those things together. So if I publish a result, it's totally different. By the way, the returning officer by law has powers to cancel. For example, if there's some wuru-wuru or malpractice somewhere, the law says he has powers to look at it and decide whether to admit those votes or not. If he admits them or decides not to admit them, we can't do anything about it. We have to go to tribunal. But basically, these are some of the tools you can harness at your fingertips that you can harness. I've passed around some literature. This should be more of a Socratian dialogue. I can't say everything we're trying to do. We have an NX Citizen Contact Center. The numbers are there. Challenge us. If you have complaints, don't just complain and say, oh, people are taking money here to register people. That's good. It's important you mention it. But can you please text it to us or send a message to the contact center or to the office, report it and say, look, this is the thing, this is it, these are the numbers, and these days you can record things so easily. We have seen that happen so often. Let us get some little evidence. so that you can help us improve the process. We love interactions such as this. We love to interface with you on social media. We have Twitter handles. We have an app available on Android for now, and hopefully before the election cycle, we'll get it on iOS. It's on BlackBerry for those who still use BlackBerry. But the essence is that we want to engage with you. People say the future belongs to you. No, it's the present that belongs to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, that was a very, 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 very nice one. In fact, I have the longest notes from this one. Powerful INEC. INEC is very powerful. He says, be prepared. Be prepared. He says, you need to learn a lot about where you are going to. You have to know about the process. You have to equip yourself. My best friend studied accountancy when she was in school, and her husband is a medical doctor. After a while, Onyeme was doing nursing. I said, Onyeme, you can't stand blood. What are you doing in nursing? She said, Kemi, if you see the money they're paying, because she had to go and meet the husband in America. She said, if you see the money, Kemi, you will hug the blood. I said, Onyeme, and she said, Onyeme, you like money. She didn't stop there. As I'm speaking to you now, Onyeme is going to be a medical doctor soon. She's done with her clinicals. So sometimes when I'm talking to her, she's using medical terms. I'll be like, Onyeme, so doctor, from accountancy. She got motivated by her husband. And then now she said to me, Kemi, when I was in the hospital, all those young, small doctors would be, I said, you know what, I'm going to read this course. And she went, see the parallel from accountancy to medicine. She had to study. So you have to prepare, you have to know about the terrain that you are in. No matter how much I try to want to laugh about what she's telling me and tease her that you are not supposed to be a doctor. But she knows it, and she uses those terms. So for you to say you want to participate in politics, you have to be prepared. You have to know about the terrain you are going to. What the local government you want to go and serve in, do you know about the place? Everybody has been saying you have to attend meetings. So people are saying, I can't sit down in the midst of all those men. You are not ready. You have to equip yourself. He says that INEC is a public service entity. He said you are in a service, and the service must be trustworthy. He said only qualified citizens have a say in who becomes their leader. If you have not registered, what voice do you want to have? He says, go and get your PVC. He says you need to participate in government through your chosen representatives. So you can't always be the one doing the talking, but you can, take it to someone who can represent you at that level. So if you do not vote them in there, they can't be your voice. He also said, he gave an instance of how Jonathan lost just by few votes. So whenever you say it doesn't matter, if I don't go, he already has the votes already. No, don't say that. Many of us watch most of all these shows, and people that we don't expect to win end up winning. It's because you did not vote. You just assume, somebody said Efe. You just assume that this person will win. No. We don't sit down on our beds with our cheese and burger, sipping on cappuccino and watching all the dynasties and the rest. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to be involved. He says registration is the first step in the democratic process. So as you are defining, democracy is the rule of the people, by the people, for the people. People use it to rap now. It's very sweet. Democracy is the rule of the people, by the people, for the people. You have to know that the first step is registration. He says you lose the democratic right to vote if you are not registered. He says the power lies in your vote. He says you should use it. And he says you have to work for it. You will not get it on a platter of gold. You can't say, some people say, okay, if you don't belong to a certain family, you can't rule in Lagos. Well, that might be true, but you need more than that. Sorry for the digression. Esther found favor before the king. Am I allowed to say one or two things? But she could find favor because she was prepared. When somebody says, if I perish, I perish, she was ready. Favor will bring you before the king. What you do after then is in your hands. The door has been opened for you already. I want the bill. I want the bill. The bill has been signed. The door is opened. What are you going to do? You don't expect them to come and start carrying you from one local government to the other. Oh yeah, Brother John. Oh yeah, come outside now. Come and go and vote now. You woke up. Oh, I'm coming. I want to bath first. I'll see you later. No. You want the bill? The bill has been passed. Let us even overuse it. Let them say we're overusing it. These people, what's wrong with them? All these youths, any small thing, not too young to young. Yes, they've given us. Can we just use it? Beyond the hashtag, let's use it. So thank you very much, Barrister Oluwole. That was very, very profound. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot today. We're going to be taking questions. My spirit is telling me that half of these people is for INEC. And my spirit doesn't usually lie to me. Okay, so how many questions are we allowed to take? This is the last thing we are doing today.
My question goes to the three of you, sirs and ma. Is in regard to civil service and public service. Now, of recent, I carried out an observation and a personal research about the efficiency, now effectiveness of civil service as regards public service. And during my personal research, I find out that 30% of the workforce in the both public and civil service are wholly those starting from the directorship position, the directors, and the rest PS. Why the 70% of the civil servants, so to speak, most of them don't know their job description. Most of them don't have even the mission of the office they are representing. And during my dialogue with one of the top directors in the Lagos State, he said most of them only comes to office to come and sit down and talk, and after the month and collect salary, I don't quote and unquote. So my question now is that what is happening in the civil service? Is it that, do you think that the government is spending more on salary than getting more at the expense of effectiveness? Is our government spending more on salary because we are clamoring for employment? Now, what work or job are these people going to do?
We have to make it clear. There has to be a clarification between the civil service and public service. Civil service, like our INEC man said, are those officers that come in through the Civil Service Commission. The public service, those ones are the parastatals of the civil service. In civil service, they formulate policy, and the parastatals, they are to implement it. I'll give you one example. In the Ministry of Environment, we have L.E.A.R.N, is a parastatal of Ministry of Environment. We are to formulate policy on the management of refuse at that particular time. They are to implement it. Do you get the thing? As regards the redundancy in service, I don't know when that has come to be. I left service 5 years ago. Every cadre of officer or every cadre of career officer in the service, they have their scheme of service. They have their schedule of duties. And I don't see where officer will not come to office. Will not come to office and come and get our pay at the end of the month. I don't know what is obtainable there now, but I doubt if that is, I don't know, I doubt if that is what is obtainable. You said that 70% of them, the workforce, are down. The service is bottom-up approach, and it's participatory. It's participatory and inclusive. If a proposal is sent to the Ministry of Environment, for example, even though the directive is up-down, all correspondences will go through the Office of the Honorable Commissioner. He will minute it down to the Permanent Secretary. The Permanent Secretary will send it to the Director. The Director will send it down. And it's bottom-up approach. From level 8, we are never too young to run in service. We are never too young to be celebrated. You are never too young to be heard. When you come in, that proposal, they will give you the opportunity to appraise it. You come up with your own recommendations. I'll give you one example. As a level 13 officer, My commissioner was architect Tekereekun. There was this proposal that was sent to us. I was an assistant chief scientific officer. I gave out my own recommendations. I had 2 bosses ahead of me. That was a chief, an assistant director, then our director, that was the almighty Ogaden. Then they all came up with their own recommendations. But lo and behold, when the file came back, the commissioner upheld my own recommendations. I was so happy. That day, in fact, if it were now, I probably would have made photocopies of that thing to see that and put it on social media. So